2 months ago, I downloaded VRChat. I wasn't looking for fun or even entertainment. I needed people, anyone, after the loss of the only friend I had ever known. Years of awkwardness, of failed conversations and empty weekends, had kept my world small. When he left, it collapsed entirely. Like many do in loneliness, I turned to virtual spaces, hoping to fill the silence. First, it went exactly as expected. Public lobbies filled with groups I couldn't approach. Laughter I wasn't part of. Avatars that danced while I stood silent. I'd watch, pretend to browse menus, then leave after an hour, feeling more isolated than before. But desperation has a way of pushing past pride. On the 5th night, I picked a plain avatar and walked straight up to a group, standing there until someone acknowledged me. It worked. They pulled me in, showed me the ropes, how to change avatars, where to find good worlds, and how to just exist with others. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I had found a sliver of belonging. Eventually, I made real friends. We laughed, explored, and drank together in pixelated rooftops and glowing beaches. It became a habit, then an addiction. But I didn't mind, it gave me comfort. That was until a week ago. That's when it began. I was feeling low again, a bit off, and wanted somewhere quiet to match my mood. I typed dark into the world search bar, looking for something gloomy, maybe meditative. Among the results was one I hadn't seen before. Pine Hollow Fogbound. There were no users online, no likes, no description, just a grayscale thumbnail of a forest clearing, twisted pines, ash-colored ground, and a fog that hugged the earth like smoke. A narrow trail vanished into the haze, like a beckoning whisper. Curious, I clicked it. Only 23 megabytes. It loaded fast. I queued up a playlist of soft, moody tracks, mostly minor key instrumentals, and entered the instance alone. I spawned standing on that narrow path, surrounded by endless trees, their bark pitch black like they had been burned but never fallen. Wind hissed in the distance. Everything was still, like the world had been paused. Just behind me sat an old wooden table, its surface damp and rotting. On it, a red candle, unlit, and a note. I leaned closer and read. Choose with care. Light the path. Knock 3 times to reveal the false. Beware, not all that follows will be real. I blinked. Some kind of horror puzzle world? The word right was underlined. I glanced at the path ahead, which forked left and right, and just then, 3 digital crows flew overhead, from left to right. I took the hint and lit the candle. The path right led me deeper into the forest, but the further I went, the more it bent and narrowed. Eventually, I couldn't tell where the trail was anymore. The trees pressed closer, almost suffocating. The wind grew louder, too loud, and I turned around, disoriented. The menu wouldn't open properly. I tried again. Nothing. Then I heard it. Soft, dragging footsteps. Not mine. Slow. Getting closer. I froze. The sobbing began. Faint, distant, but definitely there. I yanked off the headset and held the power button until the device shut down with a sharp tone. Silence. I sat in the dark of my room, catching my breath. I told myself it was just a clever world. A scary Easter egg. Nothing more. Later that night, I joined a friend and jumped around worlds. We eventually settled on a relaxing rooftop lounge. City skyline, chill music, good vibes, until I saw him. Across the courtyard, mostly hidden by a planter, stood a tall, gray-skinned avatar. Long coat, blank glowing face, dark pits for eyes. He didn't move. He only stared. Pointed him out. My friend went quiet and muttered, "Let's go somewhere else." We did. But minutes later, there he was again, this time on a balcony, still staring. We jumped worlds again. This time, he didn't follow. I tried to laugh it off. The next day, I explored a solo-driving world, city lights, neon tracks, techno beats. It helped me clear my head, until I heard it. A sob, barely audible, but there. Then again, closer. Sharper. I lifted the headset, but the sobbing didn't stop. I eased the car around the bend, shifting up instinctively. The city's neon blur zipped past me in the simulated night, and for a few seconds, it felt like the world was normal again. Then it came soft, but clear, a sob, just beyond the hum of tires. I paused the music. Nothing. Silence. Maybe I'd imagined it? I drove on. Lap 2. As I curved around the same corner, I glimpsed it. A white light, faint but pulsing, hovering just beyond the edge of the track. The sobbing came again. This time it didn't stop. Whoever, whatever it was, wasn't trying to be heard. They were trying not to be. The kind of weeping you make when you're hiding. Broken breaths held too long. Inhales that caught in the throat. Panic flooded my chest. I slammed the exit menu and fled back to my home world. I cleared my cache, shut the game down, and yanked off the headset. I stared at the ceiling for a long time. I wasn't superstitious. I didn't believe in ghosts. But none of this had happened. Not the sobbing, not the man, until I'd entered that cursed forest world. That place did something to me. And now, something had followed me out. Took me 2 days to even think about going back. I barely slept. None of my friends messaged. The silence hurt more than I expected. But eventually, curiosity won. Or maybe guilt. Maybe I needed to prove to myself it was just a world. Just code and lighting effects. So I put the headset back on. I found the forest world in my recently visited tab. Pine Hollow, Fogbound. Still no users. Still no description. But now it felt like it was waiting for me. I chuckled nervously and launched an invite-only instance. Same trees. Same fog. Same wind. The 3 crows shrieked and swept across the sky again, right to left. Behind me, the wooden table. The note. The unlit red candle. Had I even lit the candle last time? I rubbed my temple and face-bombed, hard enough to jolt my headset. No wonder things went wrong. I reached out, clicked. The candle flickered to life. Its glow painted a faint warmth on the fog. Then I saw it, a sign hanging from a tree at the fork in the path. White letters carved into wood. Welcome, stranger. The answers you seek lie before you. Make the right choice. When I touched the sign, the letters shifted. A question will be asked at every step. Answer truthfully. Again, have you been visited? Right if yes, left if no. I scoffed. Visited? That was vague. But yeah, I had. That staring figure, it hadn't been a hallucination. I turned right. 30 seconds in, the path thinned. The air thickened. Eventually, it opened up again. A crooked house stood in a small clearing, barely held together by warped boards. A dim light flickered inside. I hesitated. Then I remembered the original note. Knock thrice. I reached toward the door and mimed 3 knocks. My hand passed through it, no sound. I stepped back, unsure. The door creaked and opened by itself. Inside, a closet, an old bed, another table, a noose hanging limp in the center of the room. A note on the table. The path you're heading down does not have a happy ending. I froze. Then, footsteps. Quiet. Drawn out. Growing closer. I swallowed, reading on. To the left lies salvation. To the right, you'll find answers. I thought back to the first note. Uncover the lies. Was this note lying? Was it a trap? The word lies echoed in my head, double meaning. Salvation lies? Or is a lie? The footsteps neared. Sobbing joined them. Trembling. Hidden. I bolted out of the house and stood at the fork. Left for salvation. Right for truth. I hesitated, then stepped right. I needed to know. If this thing followed me into the real world, I had to understand it. The further I walked, the more unstable the path became. It dissolved beneath me, turning into bare gaps between trees. I pressed on. Then I saw him, the tall, faceless man, just behind the trees, sliding unnaturally. No walking animation, no sound, just gliding forward, head tilted, eyes locked on me. I kept walking. Eventually, the trees parted into a wide circle. Grass, colorless, faintly glowing, covered the ground. And at the center, a pond. No, the pond. I knew it instantly. I felt it in my stomach. This was where I found him, my friend. The last time I saw him alive, he was walking out my door after one too many drinks. The next morning, I found his body face down in this pond. I could have stopped him, could have let him crash at my place. Instead, I found him here, alone. The sobbing grew loud right behind me. I didn't turn. In the reflection on the water, I saw him, the monotone man, standing still, his hand resting on my shoulder. Then he whispered, low and broken, "I'm sorry." I took off the headset. Across the room, on the desk, my sketchbook was open. The page showed a drawing of him, the tall man, standing in one of my favorite VRChat worlds. I had drawn it weeks ago, when the loneliness had become too much. The knife beside it gleamed under the desk lamp. I had placed it there, not really thinking, not really planning. But now I remembered. The pain I had once felt in my arms was numb now. Old wounds faded, new scars fresh. I had stopped feeling anything. No one reached out. Not one friend in 7 days. Not one message. I picked up the pen and turned to a new page. If this was where it ended, I had to leave something behind. So I began to write. I started playing VRChat about 2 months ago,